Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to take you through an overview of long-term disability in Nova Scotia. I've broken the video into three parts to make it easier to digest. Part one is going to cover background on long-term disability, the basics. Part two, I'm going to take you through the sources and types of long-term disability available in Nova Scotia. And number three, part three, I'll talk about how to apply for the various benefits. So after watching this video, it's my intent that you will have a basic understanding of how long-term disability works, the sources and types of benefits available to you in Nova Scotia, and how you can go about applying for benefits and figure out if you may qualify. So with part one, let's start with some basics. And I'm going to cover in this section, what is long-term disability, how does it work, what medical conditions qualify for long-term disability, and last, I'll end by discussing this idea of own occupation versus any occupation. This is a concept you're going to need to understand when dealing with long-term disability. So number one, what is long-term disability? Quite simply, it is a financial benefit paid to people who become unable to work because of a disability, illness, or injury. Now, usually it's going to be a monthly payment that is paid to you and will generally be in the 60 to 75% of your income range, but it can be lower than that with some of the provincial and federal benefits. The payments can go to age 65 in most cases, and they're going to be paid by an insurance company, a government program, or sometimes your employer. All right, so how does it work? Generally, how it works is this idea that it is an application process. So all of the various benefit providers have a process where you need to apply. They make a decision on your application. They'll either approve it and pay the benefits or deny it and not pay the benefits. If they deny the claims, it's called a claim or an application when you send it in. If they deny it, there is a process in place for you to have them reconsider that, to overturn it, and that type of thing. But that's essentially how it works. So you actually have to take the initiative, identify the plans and programs, and apply to each one of them in order to get benefits. Okay, one of the biggest questions we get is, will my medical condition qualify? What medical conditions qualify? Important thing to understand is that the medical diagnosis is not the most important thing. In fact, I've won cases of disability where there was no medical diagnosis or the doctors couldn't even agree on what was going on. So it's not about the medical condition. That's not the most important thing. The key thing is going to be the level of impairment or disability that credibly and that you can prove arises from your disability, okay? The disabilities that will be covered by this plan. It's more about like how disabling is your medical condition rather than that you have the diagnosis. For example, multiple sclerosis. Everyone agrees that's a serious illness, a serious diagnosis to get. However, many people with multiple sclerosis with that diagnosis are still able to continue working and may only have periodic problems, maybe once or twice a year in the beginning. And you can see that really, just having that diagnosis does not mean you're going to be approved for long-term disability because you're still able to work. They'll always look further into it and to try to determine how serious are your symptoms compared to other people with multiple sclerosis who have less severe symptoms. So it's always about reproving your restrictions and limitations that affect your ability to work. That's more important. I find people make a mistake by focusing too much on the diagnosis. Last part here at the beginning, this first section is going to be own occupation versus any occupation. This is an important concept that disability benefits they define disability mostly by your ability to do work. There are two types of work that they look at. Your ability to do your own regular job that you typically are doing at the time, or your ability more broadly to do other types of work or any occupation. Whenever you're applying for benefits, look at what does it require? Is it disability from your own work or disability from any type of job? Your own job or any job? Most provincial plans are going to focus on any type of work. So you have your disability you need to prove is that your disability is so severe that you can't do any type of work that's out there. That's the most difficult one to prove. However, it's common for insurance plans to have a period where sometimes the whole plan will cover you as long as you can't do your own work. So for me, as long as I couldn't be a lawyer or couldn't do the job of a lawyer, I'd be covered under the plan. Even if I could go do other work out there that's less stressful or less difficult, I'd still be approved for my own occupation. So keep that in mind when you're looking at benefits. Part two, let's look at sources and types of benefits. There's three sources, first of all. You have insurance companies that write insurance policies and issue insurance policies in Nova Scotia. That's number one. Number two, you got the province of Nova Scotia itself. And number three, you have the federal government who provides benefits to Nova Scotians. Let's start off with long-term disability insurance companies. There are three types of policies that they can issue. Number one will be individual policies that are issued directly to you. Number two could be group policies, and I'll go over those in a second. And number three are going to be what I call special purpose policies that cover kind of a mixed bag of things. Let's start with the individual policies. So these are, again, ones that are sold directly to you from a broker. It only covers you. Very common with business owners or professionals who get out of university to buy these. Tradespeople can have these. It's usually going to be self-employed people have individual insurance. Not always, but a lot of times. These policies are very diverse and complicated. I would encourage anyone who's thinking of making an application or for disability benefits or is struggling with work to disability and has one of these plans, reach out for legal advice immediately. Earlier on, the better. A lot of mistakes are made with these individual policies in the beginning by people who have them because they're a little more complicated. All right, number two are going to be these group plans. Some group plans, and you may have a group plan at your work. These are going to be medical plans that include medical, dental, other types of benefits, drug coverage. Often these group plans at work, these group medical plans, will include long-term disability or short-term disability. You want to double check to see if they're in there. These types of plans are very common. In fact, it's the most common type of long-term disability insurance there is, and they will cover you usually for your own occupation for up to 2 to 3 years. After that, they'll cover you as long as you can't do any occupation, usually to age 65. And the payments will typically be somewhere between 60 to about 85% of your pre-disability income. So keep that in mind. Double check that you have this. A lot of people overlook the fact that they have these benefits. All right, last but not least is kind of a mixed bag of things. Call it special purpose plans. These are going to be things like creditor insurance, creditor disability insurance, which is attached to loans, visas, mortgages, have these. But it's you would have gotten it when you when you took out the loan or got the mortgage. Some people forget they have it. If you get approved for this disability, it just pays your monthly payments for the mortgage. Sometimes it'll pay off the balance. That's less common, but it's sometimes with visas and things like that, that's what'll happen. Next, you have critical illness. That's a type of insurance coverage where if you have an illness that is on this list, they have a list within the insurance policy. If you have one of these, then you get paid out a certain amount of money, and it can be a lot. It can be $100,000 or more paid out if you have this critical illness. Now you have to survive for 30 days usually is what the limitation is here. And it's serious things like heart attacks and stuff like that. But if you survive, you will get an immediate payout from these plans. They'll sometimes be in group plans, or you might have one of these individually purchased as well. Next, there is dismemberment coverage. Dismemberment coverage is very similar to critical illness, except there's a list of like impairments like blindness, lose an eye, lose a finger, lose an arm, lost the leg. It's more of a kind of a meat chart if I'm going to be kind of talking about how people describe it. But everything has like an amount. So if you lose an eye, it's like $10,000 or whatever. It'll be different depending on your plan, but that's how it works. Next, there's life insurance. Not much to say on that one. Everybody understands life insurance usually. It's on the person. If the person dies, there's beneficiaries, they get a payout. Travel insurance is another one people forget about sometimes, but if you are traveling out of the country and have medical expenses, this insurance can cover that. And keep in mind, because it may be kind of mixed into everything you're dealing with. Next source number two is the province of Nova Scotia. They pay out benefits through two main programs. The first being Workers' Compensation of Nova Scotia, the Workers' Compensation Board of Nova Scotia to be specific, and the Nova Scotia Disability Support Program, or DSP. Most people would just refer to it as assistance or that kind of thing. Let's start with the Workers' Compensation Board of Nova Scotia. So they will pay benefits out to people who are injured at work or have a work-related medical condition. You also have to work for an employer that's covered by the Workers' Compensation Program, but that's going to be almost every employer. Now, if you get over these steps and you can prove your disability, you can get up to 75-80% of your pre-disability net income. Up to a certain cap, which in Nova Scotia I think is around $69,000-$70,000 as of 2022 here. Boy, forgetting the year. So what that means is they have a cap on the income. So workers' comp only insures people up to like $69,000, $70,000 in income. So you would get the percentage of that income, even if you earn more. These benefits will go to age 65. They can include other things too, like medical and things like that that are related to the injury, but The biggest thing is going to be the loss of income payments. Next, we have the disability support program. That's going to pay people, that's going to cover any resident of Nova Scotia who cannot work because of a disability. Now, there is a second part to this, though, that is not part of the other benefits that I've talked about, is there is a financial criteria that not only you have to prove disability, you got to prove that you have a family income below a certain level so that your family doesn't earn too much to qualify. So that can be a big frustration for people because it's not a lot. I'm not going to go over the amounts here because they change every year, but you have to double check that to make sure you meet the financial criteria as well. If you get the benefit, it can pay multiple things like monthly income assistance. It can help with medications. There can be supplements for kids and transportation and these kinds of things. So it's worth applying for if you can get it. Source number 3 is the Government of Canada. And they have a series of programs that are available. First and foremost being the Canada Pension Disability Program. This will pay benefits up to $1,400 a month as of 2022, goes up every year, if you qualify. Now to qualify, you have to have paid into the Canada Pension Plan by being a worker. That's the only way you can pay into this plan. And then your disability has to happen recently to when you were making payments into the plan. So it's not a situation where you could have worked several years ago and then you weren't working for 10 years and then you got disabled. Wouldn't work. Your disability has to be very close in time to when you were working. So if you had to stop work because of a disability, then you're going to be in good shape as long as you worked a number of years leading up to that and paid into the Canada Pension. If you get those benefits, they can go to age 65. They don't cover other things, so they only pay this benefit, but they're good if you can get it. Employment insurance is the next benefit paid through the federal government. This one's not as well known. It's employment insurance sickness. So it's paid, it's part of the EI program, but it's only paid if you prove you have a sickness that is preventing you from work. So it's not that you got fired or can't find work. It's that you're not able to work because of an illness. They'll get approved automatically as long as your doctor certifies that, but it only lasts for 15 weeks, 55% of your pre-disability income up to a certain cap. But it's great. These are good benefits to help you in the short term while you're waiting for other things to come through. Next, there's the disability tax credit. That's available to most people who have a disability. However, it does not pay a monthly benefit. If you apply for it and get approved for the disability tax credit, all it gives you the right to do is include this as a tax credit on your taxes at the end of the year. So you only will get money for this if you have paid in federal income tax and can be owed some back from the tax credit up to you owing no taxes, okay? So it's not going to pay out any guaranteed amount of money. You have to have paid in taxes. If you're someone with a disability who does not have taxable income, then you're kind of up the creek. You would not be able, there's no benefit there for you, but you could transfer your benefit to someone in your household who financially supports you. And if they pay taxes, they could get the tax credit and get the money back. Last, I'm hesitant to even mention this one, but the Canada Disability Benefit has not been approved at the point of me doing this video. It's what this benefit is, but you could be watching this later. I'm shooting this in 2022. You could be watching it later. So you'll want to check to see, has this benefit been approved? The Canada Disability Benefit. There's not a lot of details about it, but the general intent is that it would top up benefits that you would get from the disability plan through the province, or it would top up your CPP disability to bring you up to have your total income be around $19,000, $20,000. It's not meant for people who already have disability income above $20,000. That's my interpretation. It's going to be for those people who all their sources of disability are still under $20,000. It will top you up to that. That's what I think, but check back to make sure that that's correct. If this program ever gets approved, and once we have the details, you can follow us, follow our channel, and you'll get updates on it here. And I also give a lot of updates on Facebook if you want to go follow us over there. Part 3, how to get long-term disability benefits. Let's go through this briefly. First of all, you get the benefits by filing a claim through one of the providers that I've mentioned and through one of the programs that I've mentioned. Each program has its own process, and if you could qualify for a bunch of them, you have to go to each one. You have to get the forms from each one. Each one of them are going to have forms that you need to fill out and send in. They all have doctor's reports that need to be filled out. They have their own form the doctor fills out and that needs to be sent in. So you have to gather up all the forms from all these programs that you think you could qualify for and send them in. Once you do, they will assign there's different words for it, but it's essentially a claim manager, internal claim manager for the insurance company or the government program who will review your application. They may interview you for more information, which is fine. They may ask you for more medical records, which again is fine. And they'll make a decision to approve it or deny it. If they approve it, great. Get your payments, you're all good. Don't be discouraged though if you get denied. That is a common occurrence. It does happen quite frequently. Sometimes the letter that they give you will explain why it was denied, and you can simply get your doctor to clarify. And other times it's not as clear, or there may be some disingenuousness there going on from them. So you may need to get help from us, a law firm like us, or other disability lawyers or people who know about this could help you understand what you might need to do to get approved. There are different levels of appeal that you can do, and ultimately you would go to a third party decision maker, also an independent decision maker, separate from the insurance company or government agency, who will make the final decision on your benefits. That's a time where most people will benefit from having some type of legal representation, just because that's your last chance if you've lost your appeals up to that point. That's it. So now you know the process, the types of benefits. I'm out of breath, but I want to finish off here strong. So if you like this video, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to get our things in the future. Also, head on over to our website, to resolutelegal.ca. Sign up for our email newsletter. We send it out once a week, but you'll get invitations to different events and things that we do, other content that we don't provide generally to the public that could help you with your claim. That's it. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. We'll see you back here next time for more videos. Take care.